June of 2024, I never knew about or would ever think that I would walk the grounds of my ancestors all the way back to the 1700s. Do you know who you are? At 65 years old in 2024, I met my seventh generation grandparents. Of course, not in person, but through history. Until 2024, my history only reached my grandparents, meaning my awareness of my family lineage. I only knew my grandparents on my father's side, grandparents on my mother's side. And then in June of 2024, a conversation with my 86-year-old father opened a sacred door. And what I was introduced to changed everything. Black history is not just a month. Black history lives within each of us. In these times when our history is intentionally being erased, museums, exhibits closing, exhibits no longer being extended, where's our Black history? Our Black history is with us. Our Black history is with that family member who keeps the history alive through research, pictures, stories, the elders. And sometimes in your family, it may not be an elder. Sometimes in a lot of families, there's no one doing this work. My father began to speak of a story, which I'm sharing in this video, of his grandfather that led me to having a conversation with a sixth generation cousin who I am honored that she opened my eyes to something much grander, introduced me to my ancestors all the way back to the 1700s. At 65 years old, I met my seventh generation grandparent. And when you know who you are, when you understand the stories, when you tap into your lineage that walked before you, in the times that we're in now, it gives me fuel. It gives me a higher resonance of the importance of truly living my life. So when you know who you are, you rise differently. Legacy lives within us. Do you know who you are? Really? Listen to your elders. My father began to repeat a story of research that he began in 2011. And because of that, as of June of 2024, or October 2024, the following two significant events occurred tied to our lineage. The first is that my great-grandfather, a Southern farmer, filed and won a claim for property stolen by Union soldiers. And he won his claim. Not everyone did back then. Even in the ashes of war, our bloodline stood for restoration. The second truly significant event is the Gaskins family ties back in their lineage to an emancipation, a freeing of 500 enslaved people, activating their freedom decades before the nation caught up. Under the Virginia law of manumission, again, 80 years before Emancipation Proclamation. This information is available or hidden, actually, in plain sight, you guys. Thank you for watching, and may you be activated to ensure that the Black history in your family stays alive. Peace and blessings. Look at their lives. Say their names. Find out the territories that they walked on this soil. And then go all the way back. Hey, peace and blessings, family. I'm sending this to my family, my first cousins, and our private group. And then I'm also sharing with others who may begin their Sankofa journey. Sankofa is all about looking back in order to be able to move forward. Since I began this journey of understanding my bloodline, my ancestry, and learning about the aspects of genealogy, I wanted to bring to you a story of one of our ancestors. For my first cousins, it would be our great-great-grandfather.
Continue on the ancestry journey and talking. Hopefully, I can talk with my father. If not, I'll share with you what he has shared with me about our great grandfather and the establishment as a part of the first family of Falls Church, as well as some surprising actions taken by my great grandfather. Okay, which explains a lot of what I understand now more about myself, about my family and the blood that we have in us as entrepreneurs, as people who, even if you're not an entrepreneur, established a business as a Gaskins, you excel in your corporate work or your nonprofit work. We have that blood in us. Yes, beautiful thing. Take a listen. Say hi, Daddy. Well, this is the Gaskins family page, of private page on Facebook that I haven't been active in a long time. And I just posted, I talked about great granddaddy. I'm just talking to the family about coming in and seeing great granddaddy's picture, and you helping me to understand who that was and remind me. And then we were at dinner talking about what you found out about him. Yeah. And then I showed you the marker. Yeah, about the founding of Falls Church, y'all. Our great grandfather for the first cousins was instrumental, and there's a history database about all that. But I'm a peace, family, peace. A wonderful surprise, not expected, but in my trip to the DMV to visit my dad, this picture. This picture is a picture of my grandfather and grandmother, the parents of my father. I'll either have a picture, actually trying to have a conversation with him about our history. And the reason being is I not only saw that picture, but as soon as I came in, I saw this picture. You guys, this is my great grandfather. This is my great grandfather. Yeah. And maybe last year, a cousin of mine shared that in the area of Falls Church, where our family uh, history is, Falls Church, Virginia, our great grandfather was significant, one of the first families to be the founders of Falls Church, Virginia. Oh my God, y'all. So there's a placard that was set up in an area called Tenor Hill. And there is a historical database. I'm going to show y'all. Powerful. Y'all need to look at y'all family history and lineage. And at least I have my elder who can talk to the history, some significant things that occurred as his grandfather and my great grandfather was significant in this, that being part of the first family that established Falls Church.
So family, here's the database, the historical marker database, hmdb.org. And from 1733, okay, it's going to go all the way to 2016. But here's the part from 1820 to 1910. Early black families in the area included Bryce, Wade, Barnett, Jackson, Clay, Gilliam, Honesty, Hall, Scipio, Gaskins, y'all. That's us. Look at their lives, say their names, find out the territories that they walked on this soil, and then go all the way back. Hey, peace and blessings, family. I'm sending this to my family, my first cousins, in our private group. And then I'm also sharing with others who may begin their Sankofa journey. Sankofa is all about looking back in order to be able to move forward. Since I began this journey of understanding my bloodline, my ancestry, and learning about the aspects of genealogy, I wanted to bring to you a story of one of our ancestors. For my first cousins, it would be our great great grandfather. Now, at first, I thought that I would be searching more information about my great grandfather, my father's father, my father's grandfather, and my great grandfather. So, my father, Roy Gaskins, and then he has his father, Leroy Gaskins, and then his father, Nathaniel Gaskins Jr. And my father searched Ancestry back in 2011 and found a document which he says where his grandfather sued the government. And looking at the document and looking at the age that he would have been at 15, realized that it's not him, it's his great grandfather, Nathaniel Gaskins Sr. So I'm going to put an org chart right here, or a tree. So we'll start with me going up to Roy Gaskins, my father, and then we'll continue to go up to his father, which is Leroy Gaskins, married to Bessie Mae Gaskins. And then we go up. Leroy's father is Nathaniel, the junior, actually, with Mahalia. And then his Nathaniel father, Gaskins, married to Virginia Burke. Awesome information. So I want to introduce you to my great great grandfather, Nathaniel Gaskins, born in 1819, son of Peter and Nellie Burke. And they lived in, 1860 Bristol Station, Prince William, Virginia. Occupation, farm laborer. When Nathaniel Gaskins was born in 1819 in Fairfax, Virginia, his father, Peter, was 45 and his mother, Nellie, was 38. He had one son with Virginia Jenny Gaskins in 1861, our great-grandfather. But our great-great-grandfather had one son, which is our great-grandfather, and he had 6 brothers and 7 sisters. And this Nathaniel Gaskins first submitted a claim for property taken by soldiers. The document, or his claim, he filed a claim in, I think it must have been 1871, I'm not sure of specifically when he filed his claim, but he was in Virginia when it became a union. And I'm not good on history, y'all, so here's what I found out. Nathaniel Gaskins Sr., born in Fairfax County in 1861, was an African-American farmer who filed a claim for compensation from the U.S. government. He sought reparations for property, including livestock and other goods, taken by Union forces during the Civil War. So I'll insert here, a part of the claim that shows the actual items. It may be blurry, but I know I saw the first line said 12 hogs, and I think there's some bales of hay and some corn and some other things, and I'll show that. Gaskins had to provide, as a resident of Virginia, a Confederate state, Gaskins had to provide evidence that he had been loyal to the Union, a requirement under the Southern Claims Commission established in 1871. This commission allowed loyal Union supporters in the South to seek reimbursement for war related property losses. But many claims were denied due to the strict standards for proving loyalty. In the American Civil War, the Union refers to the northern states that fought to preserve the United States as a whole, while the Confederates represent the southern states that seceded and fought to maintain slavery, essentially meaning the Union wanted to keep the country together, while the Confederacy wanted to break away and preserve slavery as a key part of the economy. The Union ultimately won the war. So, our great grandfather's story is part of a larger context where African Americans, especially formerly enslaved individuals, face considerable challenges in receiving compensation. Claims like his offer insight into the lives of African Americans in Virginia post Civil War and the struggles they faced in rebuilding economically amidst systemic inequalities. The processing time for claims submitted to the Southern Claims Commission varied, but it generally took several years. For many claimants, the average processing time was between 2 and 5 years. The Commission received over 22,000 claims, and the sheer volume meant that processing could be slow, especially since each claim required verification of the claimant's loyalty and documentation of losses. So our great grandfather had property stolen, and when they announced, this commission announced, what's the name? Southern Claims Commission announced that you could put a claim in. Our father, our great great grandfather, I don't know if he knew that it would take that many years. I believe he acted on principle and went ahead and filed that claim. And after a claim was approved, the amount awarded was dispersed by the Department of the Treasury. Payment was typically made by check rather than cash. This check was mailed to the claimant's residence or an address provided in their application. Now, since banks were not as widely accessible, claimants sometimes had to travel to a nearby town to cash or deposit their checks. For many rural claimants, this could involve significant travel time. So I want to stop right here because in order to get the context of what our great grandfather was faced with, I began to research and see what it was like in that time. I think the date on it, the claim is 1876. So I pulled up some information or pictures. I'm gonna try to pull as many pictures as I can and insert it here. First of all, what kind of transportation? From what I've seen, he was a farmer, so he would have had a horse and buggy. And then the terrain, how he would get from Fairfax to Washington, D.C. And they say here, for many rural claimants, this could involve significant travel time. So can you put your head around the idea that he would have to travel so far? He would have to go in person. He also had to have witnesses on the claim. I can see our great grandfather's writing his story of what happened. I could see where those that he had to have witnesses. He had three, and again, I'll probably try to pull that document and show three. I think another name. Three people. One of the names was Robinson. I think it looked like it. So take a look at that. And you'll see the amount that he said each item was worth. And I'll put in there what they actually approved for him to get. I think he filed for a total of over $800. And he actually was awarded three something. I Googled what that amount would be worth today. So think of the weight of the total I'm going to give you now. So I think that I'll show it to you. I'll do the Google and show you how much in 1876. So here we go. In 1876, $327 is worth $9,635. I'll continue with the story. As Nathaniel Gaskins Jr., no, for Nathaniel Gaskins Jr., this process would have involved not only the wait time for his claim to be processed, but also travel to access his payment. Given Fairfax County's proximity to Washington, D.C., he may have been able to access federal payment facilities sooner than those in more remote areas, but it was still a lengthy and complicated process for many. So, as I'm learning more about our ancestors and learning about history in general, and I think of today's time, I think of my own self on November 5th when I left at 6 a.m. in the morning to put my vote in. I thought about my great great grandfather. It only took me 20 minutes to drive to the voting place. It only took another 30 minutes to vote. He had to drive, had to ride a horse and carriage. No telling how many hours. If I can research probably and see how many hours it would have taken. If I find it, I'll put it in here. So there was some steps to this process. There was at least 5 steps to this process. So I'll share with you what that is. So we have, where's it at? Number 1, filing process. Initially, individuals would submit a detailed description or application, which could be done by mail. The application required them to itemize the property lost and to affirm loyalty to the Union during the Civil War. Applicants provided sworn statements detailing their loyalty and the circumstances of their losses. The processing time for claims submitted to the Southern Claims Commission varied, but it generally took several years, as I mentioned before, from the initial filing to a final decision. Processing between 2 to 5 years. The commission received 22,000. The sheer volume meant that processing could be slow, especially since each claim required verification. After a claim was approved, the amount awarded was dispersed by the Department of Treasury. Payment was typically made by check rather than cash. This check was mailed to the claimant's residence or an address provided in the application, since banks were not as widely known. Let's see, I think I have it in here double. I'm going to take that part out. I hope that this information you find interesting. I intend to learn about ancestors I've never heard of, going up all the way to the 1700s. I will create a story to share with you. GASKINS family. Now we're moving to part 2 because I mentioned there were 2 historical, hidden in plain sight, historical events that my family leads back to. And the second one is the law of manumission that was issued 80 years before Emancipation Proclamation by deed of trust by the enslaver family, one of the biggest families, in one of the families that had the largest amount of enslaved people. And the actual plantation still exists, not as a plantation, but I had mentioned a 6th generation cousin, Crystal Gaskins, who, after I left the DMV, after speaking with my dad and following what he found in Ancestry about his grandfather, upon calling her, we ended up on the phone for about 4 hours. And that's when this amazing history leading back to the 1700s, her guiding me through Ancestry and witnessing and being able to view the family tree that she so diligently has been for years, being like a lighthouse for those that find her through DNA, through Ancestry. There's more than just the Gaskins names. I believe there are approximately, okay, so let's get to it. In the 80 years before Emancipation Proclamation, the Robert Carter family, Robert Carter III, was made aware of a law in Virginia where they could release their slaves. It wasn't just as simple and easy as that. There were a lot of things associated with the law. Taxes had to be paid, provision had to be made for the enslaved, and the way that the enslaved were released. Lots of detail. Things like they had to be 40 years or older. That's one aspect. The first group of people that were actually freed. And there's actually on YouTube a reenactment of Robert Carter getting an update about the lives of the enslaved people that he created a deed for. He actually passed away. His family members at that time wanted to fight the deed, but he had, I guess, good lawyers put in place for the promise of the deed to flow through. So if you were 40 years old, mother, you had a scheduled time when you would be released. But if you had 6 or 7 children, they could not be released. There's a lot of detail. I'm sure there was a certain age that they had to. So there's a lot of sides to that, in that Robert Carter, according to what's written, wanted to ensure that people were successful in surviving. So every year so far for the last 3 years, I think, this is 2026. They had it in October 2025. I attended in October 24. What I'm speaking about is an actual event inviting the descendants of the enslaved 500 to come together and recognize the ancestors. There are actually unmarked graves on the land. And I, the oldest of my father in our clan, and him being the oldest in our clan, walked the land where our ancestors dwelled in October of 2024. Here's that part of the story. Morning, getting prepared for our journey. So I'm deciding to go in the energy of the fullness of who I am as a metaphysical minister, embracing all of who I am, all the way from my 33% being Nigerian. So the symbol that I'm wearing is based on an African proverb about returning, look back, so that you can move forward in your life. Driving onto this property was very surreal. I can't explain it, but there's me and my daddy and my cousins. He's in the passenger side. What's your name?
Stephanie Arnott.
Stephanie Arnott. Oh,
Yep. So this is my parents'
okay.
property, and it's been in our family since forever.
You're a part of the Carter family?
Yes, we're a direct descendant of the Carters. I'm Stephanie. Nice to meet you.
I'm from North Carolina.
Okay.
I only heard about it through Crystal Gaskins
Oh, okay.
6 months ago,
Oh, I'm glad you're here.
which my father, who's the patriarch of my branch, I'm the oldest of him, and 6 months ago, I'm repeating a story from what he found in Ancestry in 2011.
Right.
But Daddy kept saying that his grandfather sued the government, for property taken back in Falchurch, whatever that time frame was. And it triggered me because I said, he's been talking about this for a long time.
Right.
So I went back home and opened up Ancestry and found that document.
Oh, cool.
And then I remembered Crystal and called her, and that's how we ended up. It's only 6 months ago.
Wow. Well, as I was saying, the original house was built in 1729, and that burned. And then they rebuilt that house 1850. That's the house that I grew up in.
Oh.
and then that house burned to the ground probably 8 years ago. So it's not that long. Because my dad had restored it to its original condition.
Understand.
Wavy glass, all the things.
How many square footage was it?
Don't know the square footage.
Okay.
He would know the square footage.
Understand.
He's the one cooking today, so you can ask him some questions. But yeah, it would have been right there.
Right there,
in the
between,
center.
right in the
That
center of those
circle.
trees.
And he built this carriage house in 1997.
And Carriage House, I'm from the city.
I know. The
So,
carriage house would be like back in the day, in colonial times, is where they would keep their carriages.
okay.
But so it's the shape and design of a carriage house.
Okay.
But we use it for other purposes.
Understand.
Obviously for,
Yeah.
and he used all original to the period of 1850. Aside from this poplar inside, like the glass is wavy glass.
Okay.
And you're welcome to go inside. There's a little, the Northern Historical Society got involved, and they were like, this is fantastic. You know, the person that you're descended from on this plantation who owned all of these slaves didn't feel right about it. And 72 years before Abraham Lincoln, he issued an Emancipation Proclamation to free all of them.
And that history is not known
It's not
nationwide,
known.
but
it's not known because a lot of people hear plantation, they're like, oh my gosh, I need reparations from that plantation. You know what I mean? But, you know, he was a man ahead of his time. There is a book called The Great Emancipator.
yes, I
Okay.
came across, I've done a lot of.
There with Fithian's Diary.
No,
It's the Journal and Letters of Fithian, Philip Vickers Fithian.
that's the name of this road.
Yes. So Fithian was a tutor here during the time of Robert Carter and all of that. And the schoolhouse was actually where those hay bales are.
Okay,
all
the
over there.
schoolhouse was over there. Okay,
And Robert Carter educated his sons as well as his daughters,
right.
which is unheard of. Fithian was here. He was a tutor from New Jersey. While he was here, he kept a diary of his day-to-day
Yeah.
life. And so that has given us so much information about, like, you know, you can open it up and
Yes.
say, what did they do on October 26th? Because it's right there.
I ran across that.
So it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
But you can get that on Amazon.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm gonna go ahead
Yeah,
on
yeah.
over, but
do you have a screen?
he's got both my chair and his.
Oh, okay.
9 years later, on September 5th, 1791, Robert Carter III of Nononoc Hall in Westmoreland County, Virginia, filed a deed of gift at the Northumberland County Courthouse in Heathsville.
How you doing?
This deed eventually freed more than 500 enslaved people owned by Carter. This is the largest known manumission by an individual in the United States prior to the American Civil War. In 1791, the year that Robert Carter III filed his deed of gift, he owned and managed 17 working estates and farms, along with several other named tracts of land in 7 Virginia counties, including Westmoreland, Richmond, Northumberland, Loudoun, Frederick, Prince William, and Fairfax. The main house at Nononoc Hall Estate, completed in 1732, served as the mansion seat for Robert Carter III from 1751 to 1790. He daily recorded his impressions in a journal. According to his entries, 250 years ago, in 1774, Thomas and Katie Gumby were the oldest members of the enslaved community living at Nononoc Hall. On Sunday, January 30th, 1774, Fithian recorded, "This evening, the Negroes collected themselves into the schoolroom and began to play the fiddle and dance." On Sunday, April 3rd, 1774, Fithian recorded, "This being Easter Sunday, all the parish seemed to meet together, high, slow, black, white, all came out. On Monday, April 4th, Vivian wrote, "This morning I make a general payment, first to Sam, the barber, second to Tom, the hustler, and third to Nelson, who waits on me." 2 months later, in a letter dated June 8th, Vivian wrote, "I shall not neglect to inform you that the Virginians are warm and active in supporting the liberties of America." On September 2nd, 1774, Vivian took into the school Dennis, a 13-year-old boy who served as a...
All of the memories are not the brightest and not the most cheerful, but there is a bright spot in understanding that because they lived, because they sacrificed, because they endured, and because they've been laid to rest in a place that we remember, then we can move to a place of appreciation. Likewise, we can appreciate the move upon the heart of Carter, that he would initiate the events that have brought us here today, that we might be able to remember. We remember our ancestors, we remember our relatives that gave up so much, contributed so much, that it made it possible that we might be able to be here to remember them on this day. To hold on to the fact that remember our history, continue to explore all of it, even though some chapters are not so kind, some are not so pleasant. But I've learned, and I've said this often in my own personal journey in life, what you see now, whatever it may be, it took everything from 1956 to 2024 for me to be who and what I am. The ups, the downs, the failures. Hey, Lord, come on and walk with me. Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me. While I'm on my pilgrim journey. Oh, I want Jesus every day, Lord, to walk with me.
Listen, I really do love this message you made for me. Tell her thank you for that. She really does a good job.
Yes, sir, Mr. Klein, definitely.
And Prince, you're an excellent shoemaker too. Those shoes that I've got on, you made those shoes for me several years ago when it still last. Done a great job.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Appreciate it. Prince, I remember you when I got back here on the farm, back here with my parents. I got back from college. You were just a little kid running around the neighborhood. Gosh, you was always in trouble. Don't you couldn't behave yourself? Because I remember your mom and daddy would take you and tie your real end up for the things you do, but you turned into a good old man.
Yeah, appreciate that, sir.
You're very special to me. And I remember, Prince, I remember you and Tanner. Y'all were quite a young couple one time. You know, I remember, Prince. I remember y'all, she used to flirt with you all the time. I remember, Miss Carter came in one day. She said, you know, you better watch Prince. Because him and Tanner's getting kind of close. And I saw him one of the days sneaking off to the phone. You better be careful with that. But, you know, I'm proud of y'all. You know, you built a nice family. You've had a good time. Prince, I'm very close to you. I think a lot of you. I think a lot of them. And I also think a lot of people give us because we got a lot to do. Fall is coming on, and I know you're my shoemaker, and I know the folks here on the farm and stuff have been working in the fields all the summer long. The cold weather's coming in now, and we got to have a pile of shoes made before the cold weather hits. hits here for them to put on Kentucky. So I know you're busy today, and I've got things to do down at the farm in this over the years. What I want to do is we had around this place. And we've got to get on the good, get all that in, all killing time is coming up. Crops has got to be put in. We just got a lot to do today. But this is a special day for you and me. I asked my Heavenly Father, I said, can I take Prince with me today? And can we walk over to the cemetery because I want him to see something special that nobody else can see. Walk with me. Walk with me. Prince, come on up here. Let's get a little higher where we can see. Prince, I want you to turn around and I want you to look. I want you to see. I want you to close our eyes. And I just want to think about what is happening in this place. Friends, I want to see us. I want to see us to be able to reflect on what is here. Friends, I can hear the moans coming from this place. People are in pain. I can hear them. You hear the moans of those people for the hard labor that a lot of them went through. Things that they had to endure. I can hear them. And friends, I can hear the music. I can hear these folks that are buried in this place if you're really, really quiet. I can hear the spiritual hymns being sung as these people now are out of the bonds of slavery. Free. Nobody else over on the phone will be able to see it. But when you get home, I want you to tell them all. I want to tell them what you saw over here today. I want you to tell them about seeing their ancestors over here and hearing them singing in heaven, a place that they are free away from this bonds of slavery here on this earth, but in a place that is so much more glorious, so much more freedom is there. And Prince, walk to the place some more, because we're going to see something now that I know that you are not going to hardly believe. I want us to look into the faces of the people that are out here. We're fast forwarding now, Prince. The year is 2024. October 26, 2024. And what we are seeing here today, and we're looking, I want you to just look at the folks that are out here. Who they are. And where they came from. Prince, we are seeing the descendants. We are seeing the descendants of the slaves that were here on this farm at one time. And Prince, I'm working on something too, and I'm going to tell you about it just a few minutes from now. But Prince, I want you to see these folks. Come in. I want you to see your grandson. Prince, I want you to meet your grandson today. Prince, this is your 8th generation grandson, 7th generation grandson. Oh my gosh, Prince. How does it feel, Prince? How does it feel to see your descendants? How does it feel?
That's intense.
Oh, yeah. What a blessing. What a blessing.
That's
95
intense.
years.
Oh my God.
Finally get to see your grandma.
Oh my God.
Oh, what a blessing.
Oh my God. That's hard.
I want to say that this is a great honor for me. I'm a descendant of Robert Carter III. I'm
Wow.
a 8th generation grandson.
Wow.
And nothing makes me any more prouder than to be able to portray him and to come to an event like this and see all of the people that my grandfather had a great part in freeing. They are the people that are your ancestors. And I know Robert Carter, I represent him. I can't imagine how he feels today from his heavenly place where he is, I'm sure he is at. That he's looking down on this the group that is here today to see the descendants of the people that he worked so hard and he wanted to seed to be free so you can be free and you can have your family. You can have your history. I know he is proud of that. Our assembly here at this part is ending now, and we're going to go across the road, and there's a delicious meal already prepared for you folks over there. And I just want to say thank you for coming today on behalf of Northern Historical Society. And if would you bow your heads and pray with me, and I'm going to say a prayer, and I'm going to bless this assembly and bless our meeting that we're going to have today. Heavenly Father, I'm just so thankful for the opportunity to be able to stand here on this stage and to represent Robert Carter III, a man that did not, I know, did not want any recognition. He was only concerned with one thing, Father. He was your child. He wanted to do the things that you had instilled in him to do. And Father, I just pray that every single one of us in this assembly can have the same desire in our lives. That we can love you and learn to love each other and love our neighbors as ourselves. And Father, that we can extend that love to every single person regardless of who they are and where they're at. Father, you have blessed us. We look around this farm and we just see the beauty of this time of year and the fall leaves and the color that's on the trees and the cool breeze that's in the air. The hot air is going away, and now we can feel so comfortable in this place. Father, you bless us in so many ways. We honor you. We praise you. You are the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Father, you are awesome, and we praise you every single day in our lives for every single thing that we have. Father, I pray now as we travel across the road and we'll go to particular meal to strengthen our bodies. We have to have that, the essentials of life and food. Father, thank you for the people that have worked so hard over there this morning and prepared a meal for us. Thank you for that food. Thank you for this assembly. And these things we ask in Jesus Christ's holy name. Amen. Amen.
I hope that my family benefits from this sharing. And if anyone that is on a journey of researching your ancestry, I would say if you called from the heart to begin the journey of researching your family, be encouraged. The information that you may come across about your lineage may be good, exciting, eye-opening, and then you may find information that may be challenging. But here's what I say. In my 65 years, and on November 26, 2024, I'll be 66. And until 6 months ago, in June of 2024, I never knew about or would ever think that I would walk the grounds of my ancestors all the way back to the 1700s. It's a fascinating journey to get involved with genealogy and ancestry research. I believe that it provides a higher clarity and depthness to all of who I am and all of who you are as you take the journey of Sankofa. Sankofa, the African proverb meaning remember to go back in order to move forward. There is a level of healing in a higher dimensional awareness of living an awakened life. To understand your bloodline, the times that they lived in, the courage that they took. You could research each person all the way back. And I'm on a mission to research beyond my ancestors being on this plantation, all the way back to our origin in Africa. Sometimes it is hard to look back, but here's the deal. Go beyond. Say their names. Know who they are. They are worth you reconnecting or connecting with them, because your blood as it is today, you are your ancestors. Peace and blessings. What all that they might have had to go through or experienced, and then summarize, seeing how what we learn can be added to our lives today as far as healing and encouragement. I want to say that this awareness, this key that I've been given from my father, where I saw healing happen as a result of reflecting on history, is that my father in 2011 remembered this story, and it impacted him enough to continue to tell us about it, but we didn't have it housed anywhere except for now I'm discovering on Ancestry. But I still need to make sure, like, these videos I'm doing are going to be placed on a blog for my family. But I want to have stuff, at hand as well. We never know when we won't be able to have access to systems, and in our families, some families are close, some families are, doesn't mean they're not close, but our history, y'all. I mean, I'm going to be 66, and I'm just learning this past summer. And many may not ever think about our ancestors. We don't want to look at history, but when we don't look, history repeats itself, right? Sometimes we don't want to look back because of the horror around slavery. But here's the deal. Don't forget those that are buried in this land. Find them. Repeat their names. But think about the children. I feel like a missing link has been filled and has given me such determination and clarity and courage at a whole nother level that I never thought I would experience. So today there are close to 100 African American museums. We know that the books are being banned, right? I definitely want to be involved with that. I have a client, she says that she's executive director of a NAACP, I think in South Carolina, and her daughter have been putting feet to the ground with regard to that movement, and I want to be involved in that. And I want to teach eventually some kind of way or be involved with educating or helping to educate our children of their history. Not for the sake of, oh, it's a cute history lesson to know about your ancestors, but beyond that, for us as adults, I think that this definitely, I feel it's given me new fuel. It can give many new fuel. All right? We're missing some fuel. Look at their lives, say their names, find out the territories that they walked on this soil, and then go all the way back. So anyway, so look, I found out that the Smithsonian Institute for Smithsonian African American Museum, they have services that are free. You can sit with a genealogist twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think. But if you're not in the Washington area, you can reach out for a sending an email to request a session with a genealogist. And when I worked with when I had my appointment on July 29th, as soon as the lady opened the Zoom, she says, "Hi, how can I help you? Who are we trying to find?" And I was blessed to be able to tell her that I found many through my connection with a 6th generation cousin who I have access to view her 22,000 person tree. And it's many different names. And they tie back to the plantation that I visited in honor of my ancestors on October 26th. So I'm going to put some links below the video showing my visit to Nominee Hall Plantation with my father. What else I want to put below? Just check below. There'll be some links, at least one, to catch you up on, my Sankofa journey. So peace and blessings to you for watching. And I encourage you to get started. Make it a project. If you have time, dive into it. I'm posting my journey on my Facebook, on my YouTube. But I would love to engage with others. I'm focused on where I am sharing information and how much time I'm spending on social media. I thought about creating a group, but I don't know, because I got to manage that, But I like the idea of connecting with others. So, not everybody's excited about this type of thing. I realize that. I share it with my family in the family group, but not everybody in my family is on social media. So I need to find a blog to post these videos to. But for right now, it's on my YouTube and the playlist called My Ancestry Journey. So that's it. I'll be continuing and sharing as I am led. Peace and blessings.